Came a knocking on my door one night around 6 o'clock. I had no invitation, nobody to jock. I opened up the door and to my surprise there was a bright and shining man with these piercing eyes. He said, "Sonny, you've been living your life with ease. Time to get back to work, son, get back on your feet." He left on that note without gloves or coat, even though the sky was gray. There came a knocking on my door, and I don't even know what for. After he left that night, I didn't think twice, didn't stress, didn't worry, didn't leave on a light, no. I thought it was a dream cause there was no explanation why a man would show up to give me that brief exhortation. Thinking about the words that this man had said, started searching for some meaning as they raced around my head. Then I stopped with the start at the thought of repentance, and this is where I started to learn my lesson. So many ways, started working, started earning, got a job, making minimum wage. Now I praise the Lord for the life that he gave, for the pain and all the suffering, for my soul that he saved. Now I'm walking around, talking aloud, preaching the town. I don't know if they'll listen, but I won't step down now. Whoa, whoa, there came a knocking on my door. Wake up call for my life to begin. Thought I was doing fine, turns out I was drowning. Knocking on my door, knocking on my door. Oh, they came a knocking on my door. Knocking on my door, knocking on my door. Knocking on my door, knocking on my door.
Good day, gentlemen. Hey, Luke, glad you could join us. Ron, I appreciate those words about the guitar solo. I think that might be my favorite song on that album. Anyway, good to have you all with us this morning. It's Fridays with the fellas. That means we are drinking some coffee or Red Bull or tea. You don't have to drink coffee to be a man. You don't have to. It helps, but you don't have to. And we're talking manhood. You know, the world needs better men. Can we agree on that? The world needs better men. The church needs better men. Our families. We just need better men. And by better, I mean godly men. But not just godly people. Men. There's a difference, right? Lukewarm, Red Heifer, Old Covenant style. Red Bull, New Covenant style. Very good. Good morning, Keith. Glad that you're with us as well. So we are in Proverbs, a book written to men on how to be better men. How great is that? God's given us the playbook here. This is great. And we're in chapter 9, which is the last chapter of sort of this introductory section. We tend to think of Proverbs as those short, pithy, one-off statements, and that's what most of the book of Proverbs contains. But these first 9 chapters are sort of longer introductory statements, but obviously very practical. So we're gonna do that. Before we get to that, though, I want to encourage you, and I'm sure I do this all the time. I can't remember everything I say on Fridays, but I'm sure I do this a lot. But if you don't have a group of men, Christian men, that you get together with on a regular basis, I want to encourage you to try to make that happen. It is important. It is rich. The impact. You've probably heard me say this before, but I come in here Fridays fired up about this because Thursday nights is what we call Kingsmen. It's our home fellowship. Our church is called Fellowship of the King, and the men, we call that group Kingsmen, and we meet together every Thursday evening. And we do a variety of things. When the weather is nicer, spring, summer, fall kind of thing, we do some things outdoors, a lot of collective projects. For instance, there's a single woman in our group who has a house, and she really has a heart to bless other single women with her house. And so one of the ways that we can bless her is to help her with some of the household duties, some of the household, repairs and improvements, that kind of thing. So we do that. And we have a couple guys who are very skilled at home improvement kinds of things, or car maintenance for that matter. And it gives all the other men the opportunity to learn some things. It's a win-win, right? This woman is blessed, and all the guys who get to learn and participate are blessed. We have one guy who's been working in landscaping for several years. Well, we'll get together and do some landscaping projects for some of the people in our group. It saves them money by us doing the work for them. And again, the rest of us get to learn some things. So we do that kind of stuff. And then sometimes we just go have fun. We go, there's a little racetrack where you can drive pretty fast go-karts around. We'll go have some fun like that, putt-putt, whatever. But then we also spend a lot of time talking about manhood, Proverbs. But last night, I think I mentioned to you, if you've been with us, my daughter is getting married not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. And her fiance is in our Kingsmen group. And so last night, I invited all the married guys to share some of the things they wish they'd known going into marriage. And we have one young man who's only been married a few months. We have a couple of the guys been married, several years. I've been married 30 years. We have a wide range of marriage years in our group, and the conversation was fantastic. And here's the thing: not only did my future son-in-law receive some great wisdom, but the young man who'd only been married a few months, he's learning as he listens to some of the older guys. And my son, who's only 18, but he would like to be married before too terribly long, he's soaking this up as well. So you see how men to men, and those of us who've been married a little longer, we hear some of this stuff and we remember, oh yeah, I should give more attention to that. That would be good for my marriage. Or even as we're sharing our wisdom, thinking, yeah, okay, I'm saying the good things. Am I actually doing it? So the point is, there is so much benefit to be gained by men getting together and doing things and spurring one another on real life stuff, which is different from just sitting around talking abstract theology, but things that really impact our daily lives. We need that. So I just want to encourage you. It's one of the highlights of my week every week when these guys get together. And like I said, we're studying through Proverbs just like you and I are. And it is so rich. We need that as men. We need spaces for just men. I love my wife. I love my daughters. I love the other ladies in our home fellowship. But I need to be around men and talk man stuff, it's just different. The conversation is different when there aren't women around, right? You know what I'm talking about. So I would encourage you, whether you've got one or two guy friends that are Christians, or you've got several, invite them over. Say, hey, let's talk. Let's study Proverbs together or something. I don't know. You don't have to do a carbon copy of what we're doing. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. And there are other men who want it and need it, especially younger men, younger than you, however old you are. Dale says, yep, always glad to see when that is emphasized and valued. So important, so important. Ron says, water? Does that mean you're drinking water? All right, so Proverbs 9. Basically, Proverbs 9 is saying there are two women who want you. Which one's going to get you? And these two women are Lady Wisdom or Lady Folly. And he's used these women throughout, hasn't he? And now he's going to kind of bring it to conclusion here. So here's what he says. Wisdom has built her house. She has carved out its 7 pillars. She has prepared her meat. She has mixed her wine. She has also arranged her table. So Lady Wisdom here has set her house in order. Probably the 7 pillars is some sort of 7 seems to indicate some kind of completion idea in the Bible. So her table is prepared. Her home is ready for people to come in. She has sent out her female servants. She calls out on the highest places of the city. And here's what she calls out. Whoever is naive, let him turn in here. To those who lack understanding, she has said, come eat some of my food and drink some of the wine I have mixed. Abandon your foolish ways so that you may live and proceed in the way of understanding. So you may recall that Solomon has already spoken of a woman who has prepared a feast, enticing men to come in. And of course, she's the seductress, the adulterous woman, who her lips drip honey. She's dressed very attractive, scantily clad, and says all the right things to try to get you into her house, where she's going to lead you into sin and destruction. Well, Lady Wisdom also has prepared something attractive, a fine meal, delicious food, good wine. And she's out in the highways and byways calling and saying, leave behind your folly and come into my house, which is the way of understanding. Let me go on a little further, then I'll comment further. Whoever corrects a mocker, oops, let me put that over. Whoever corrects them, well, no, you know what? Let me stop. I have a thought here, and I got distracted by Dale's comment. Proverbs, there are two women who want you. Me, wow. Proverbs, they are metaphorical. Yes, exactly. That's funny. All of us as men are confronted with these two women regularly. Right? There's to change the metaphor, there's a path of wisdom and there's a path of folly before us all the time. And we need to have our eyes open to it, and we need to develop a distaste for the offerings of the Lady Folly and a desire for Lady Wisdom. And also, getting back to how I started, we all need to be around men who will help us stay off the wrong path. We need to find this way of understanding and help our brothers find the way of understanding. This is, again, part of why it's so important that we get together with other men and not just fill the time up with activity, but have time for real good conversation so we can hold each other accountable, so we can be aware when one of our brothers is entertaining some foolish thoughts and ideas. We need that. But our lives get so full of other things, sometimes even quote unquote church things, that we don't have time for this, which I would suggest is far more important than a lot of the churchy things that we do. Life on life, men sharpening others, sharing pushing other men down the path of wisdom. We need that. And the results are wonderful if we do this. So then he gives a little more from Lady Wisdom here. Whoever corrects a mocker is asking for insult. Whoever reproves a wicked person receives abuse. Do not reprove a mocker, or he will hate you. How would you apply that? What is Lady Wisdom here saying to it? What would this look like in our day today? Give me an example. I'll give you a moment to come up with something. What does it mean to correct a mocker? Who are the mockers? Who are these wicked people that we are tempted to reprove? And while I'm waiting to see what your ideas there are, I'm going to go a little further here. Reprove a wise person and he will love you. Give instruction to a wise person and he will become wiser still. Teach a righteous person and he will add to his understanding. So you see the contrast here. You've got the mocker who, if you try to correct him, he's going to hate you. But you've got the wise person who will receive it and you'll add to his learning. I'll tell you what comes to my mind when I think of the mocker. I think of how much time we spend on social media. If ever there was a place where mockers congregate, it's Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and all the rest, right? And how often do we jump in there and spend so much time thinking we actually might set these people straight? They might listen to me. Maybe these people on there just hurling out ridiculous inflammatory comments. Maybe they're really seeking understanding. And if I just say the right thing back to them, I will enlighten them. We're just foolish to think that most of the people on social media and the commenters are after truth. You can tell the difference. I mean, I get them occasionally on my live streams where it's pretty obvious in a hurry. These people, all they have is their superiority, right? They want to tell me where I'm wrong. They're not really interested in helping me if they do think I'm wrong, or learning from me. They just, they like to argue. And it doesn't take very long to realize it's a waste of time to interact with them. And you just provoke them further. Like you keep feeding them, they keep coming back like a cat. But if you just ignore them, they'll go on and pester somebody else. I mean, I think this is the perfect, if you've done much social media, especially if you produce content like I do, every producer, influencer type needs this. Whoever corrects a mocker is asking for an insult. Whoever reproves a wicked person receives abuse. Do not reprove a mocker or he'll hate you. But it can be the same thing with a neighbor, right? You're out talking to your neighbor and man, they're just going off on something in politics or whatever. And it's so easy to turn them against you because they're not really interested in dialogue and debate and improvement. They just want to verbally assault somebody. On the other hand, a wise person wants correction. A wise person will become wiser. And you'll add to their learning. So be a wise person, receive instruction from others, and spend your time on people who are worth your time. Yeah, Dale said it, pearls before swine. Don't do it. Don't cast your pearls before swine. That's people. There are certain people you're wasting your time with. Wisdom, the path of wisdom, does not waste time on people who are unworthy of it. Jesus didn't. Jesus had no patience and no time for people who were just going to mock him and insult him and weren't really interested in improvement. Think about that. All right. He goes on. The beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. He said that again how many times? And acknowledging the Holy One is understanding. Always comes back to, are you fearing the Lord? Which path are you going to go down? The path that leads to Lady Wisdom's house or the path that leads to Lady Folly's house? Well, it all comes back to, do I fear the Lord? If my top priority is recognizing Jesus Christ is King and Judge, and he is holding me accountable, and he has a record of all my deeds, that's going to lead me to say, how can I be wise? How can I use my time, my energies, my talents, all that for his glory, for wisdom, for living the way he tells me to live? And the result, for because of me, wisdom, your days will be many, and years will be added to your life. Don't we want that? I mean, all things being equal, we want a long, full life. Well, choose wisdom. If you are wise to your own advantage. There is benefit to this. This is something Christian men need to hear. A lot of Christian men are just lost. And part of it is because, I don't mean like eternally lost. I mean, they're lost in life. And part of it is because the church has told them, you get saved, and then you just survive life trying to have a decent time of it. Don't watch porn, get a house with a picket fence and 2.3 kids and a dog. And, you just sort of hang on until Jesus comes back or you die. And as men, that is so contrary to how we are built and how we're designed, and frankly, how God has told us to behave. Life is to be lived. Life is not something to be survived. If you know your history of theology, it was John Nelson Darby back in the 1800s who's the first one to really popularize this idea that to care about this life is just polishing brass on a sinking ship. And that has permeated Christian thinking. And so men become Christians, and then no one tells them how to live except you get up in the morning and you do your little 10-minute devotional, and you go to church on Sundays and use your gifts. So become an usher or a greeter or something. Where's usher and greeter in the Bible? No, we are to live life. And guys don't know what to do with their marriages and raising their children and work and building something and taking control of this world and life and culture and all that because nobody's telling them. And they're told this life is just evil. It's all evil. And if you gain an advantage, you're probably in sin for it. And as long as you use that advantage to help the corporate church, then it's okay. But otherwise, no, life is to be lived. There is an advantage. It's good when you live life wisely the way God intended. Men, especially young men, need to hear this. So you got to tell them, you're learning. Friends, you're learning, brothers. You need to tell somebody else about this. Because there aren't a lot of people, it seems to me, in the church talking about these things. In contrast to Lady Wisdom, if you have mocked, you alone must bear it. The woman called Folly is brash. She's a riotous, rebellious, loud, damaging woman. She's naive and does not know anything. Don't go to her house. And she sat down at the door of her house on a seat at the highest point of the city. So she's out in the public square as well, trying to get the attention of men, calling out to those who are passing by in the way, who go straight on their way. And she says, whoever is naive, let him turn in here. To those who lack understanding, she said, stolen waters are sweet, and food obtained in secret is pleasant. But they do not realize that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of the grave. So it seems to me like we have sort of, we have different categories here. We've got Lady Wisdom, Lady Folly, and there's this group of naive men walking along. And both women are calling out And now the man has a choice. Which house am I going to enter? Really, that's kind of where we're at on a regular basis. And notice what the Lady Folly is saying. Stolen waters are sweet. Food obtained in secret is pleasant. Now, he used waters earlier, Solomon did, to describe sexual desire and sexuality. He may be doing the same thing here. We certainly know that for men, one of the greatest foolish attractions has to do with sex, whether it's porn or real women in our lives, whatever. And Lady Folly is saying, look, stolen waters, those that are off limits for you, they are sweet. And at some level, it's right. Right? Nobody would sin if it wasn't pleasurable. Every sin, whether it's sexual or, pride or just lashing out at people with abusive speech, whatever, every sin, we derive some pleasure from it. We wouldn't be interested otherwise. And Lady Folly is out there saying, come in my doors and drink stolen waters. This food obtained in secret, these things you're not supposed to do, they're pleasant. Lady Folly is always going to have a lot of people in her home because men seem to be attracted to those things they're not supposed to be attracted to. But we who fear the Lord say, nope, I'm going into Lady Wisdom's house. I'm going to drink her wine. I'm going to eat her food. I want to live in the fear of the Lord. But we have those two houses available to us all the time. We need to choose well. So I want to wrap this up the way I started. Brothers, first of all, you need to be heading into Lady Wisdom's house every day and be aware of Lady Folly and stay away. Yeah, what she cooks up is good to the taste, but it'll destroy you. It'll kill you. But you also need to help other brothers come into the same table and resist that woman who wants to destroy him. And I mean that literally and metaphorically. We need each other to avoid both. Lon says, it seems if you do not choose wisdom, you will default to folly. Don't you think choosing wisdom has to be spirit-led? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a great advantage of the new covenant. We have the Spirit who will lead us toward Lady Wisdom and her banquet. But even those of us who have the Spirit, sometimes the stolen waters are very attractive. So we have to sow to the Spirit, right? And walk in the Spirit. But how does the Spirit work? At least one of the ways, not the only way, but at least one of the ways is through other men. So again, I say we need to surround ourselves with men who will point us in the right direction. All right, brothers, have a great weekend. Stay away from Lady Folly. Eat from Lady Wisdom. And we will see you, Lord willing, on Monday, continuing our series on Hebrews. Take care.